famous painting by Leonardo da Vinci, a calm dinner scene, nothing crazy at all. That's exactly what everyone always thought. But when artificial intelligence scanned the painting layer by layer, it didn't simply restore the old colors. It uncovered something that no one was ever supposed to discover. Hidden markings appeared, strange symbols emerged, and actual words buried under centuries of paint came into view. Some experts went completely silent after seeing what the AI revealed. So what exactly had been hiding in plain sight for more than 500 years? And why does decoding these secrets completely change everything we believed we knew about this masterpiece? Stay with me until the very end to uncover the full truth. And please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more incredible stories like this one. The secret hidden inside Da Vinci's legendary masterpiece begins in the city of Milan. Inside the quiet, ancient dining hall of Santa Maria delle Grazie rests one of the most famous paintings ever created by human hands, The Last Supper by Leonardo da Vinci. For over 500 years, thousands upon thousands of people have stood in front of this incredible work, looking at it carefully, studying every small detail, and attempting to understand its deeper meanings. On the surface, the scene looks straightforward and simple. Jesus sits at the center with his 12 disciples during what would be his final meal before the crucifixion. But many people have long suspected that something much deeper and more complex lies concealed within the painting, something Leonardo never wanted to make obvious or easy to find. Leonardo da Vinci was far more than just a painter. He was a brilliant inventor, a dedicated scientist, a skilled engineer, and a true visionary who lived far ahead of his time. He loved riddles, secret symbols, and meanings hidden in multiple layers. His personal notebooks were packed with mirror writing and mysterious drawings that have puzzled scholars for hundreds of years. For Leonardo, creating art was never only about making something beautiful to look at. Art served as a powerful way to protect and preserve important knowledge in secret. And many believe The Last Supper represents the greatest hidden message he ever managed to create in his entire life. When Leonardo worked on this masterpiece between the years 1495 and 1498, he chose to break away from the usual methods artists followed at that time. Instead of using the traditional fresco technique that most painters relied on, he decided to experiment. He mixed his own special paints and applied them directly onto dry plaster. This different approach gave the colors a much richer and more glowing appearance, but it also caused the painting to start deteriorating and cracking much earlier than anyone expected. Ironically, those same fragile layers of paint that time eventually damaged may have created the perfect hiding place for something important underneath. Over the many centuries that followed, people who carefully observed The Last Supper started noticing unusual details that didn't seem ordinary. The way the disciples were positioned looked almost mathematical in how precise everything was arranged. The angles of their hands, the directions their eyes were looking, and even where the bread and cups were placed, all appeared to follow careful calculations. Some researchers suggested that the arrangement of objects on the table could actually form musical notes, as if Leonardo had hidden a silent melody right inside the composition itself. Other experts proposed that the figure sitting right beside Jesus was not the Apostle John but actually Mary Magdalene, which hinted that Leonardo might have been quietly questioning the traditional biblical story of Jesus in a very subtle way. For a long time, these remained only interesting theories without any real solid evidence to back them up. Everything changed dramatically when a dedicated group of modern researchers decided to look at the painting using an entirely new approach powered by advanced artificial intelligence. In 2025, scientists from Italy and Japan came together and started a special project they called Da Vinci Decoded. Their goal was very ambitious. They wanted the AI to examine The Last Supper in extremely fine microscopic detail, looking at every single pixel with incredible precision. They suspected that Leonardo might have placed hidden messages or even written actual words inside the painting, details so tiny and subtle that no human eye could ever catch them naturally. The team used hyperspectral imaging, a highly advanced scanning technology that can capture wavelengths of light far beyond what normal human vision can see. This method let them look deep beneath the old layers of paint and all the dirt that had built up over hundreds of years. Every single crack, every shadow, and every brushstroke was turned into detailed digital data. Then this information was fed into an artificial intelligence system that had been specially trained on Leonardo's unique handwriting, his sketches, and all the coded symbols found in his surviving journals and notebooks. After several weeks of intense processing, something completely unexpected started to appear on the screens. The AI began detecting patterns that nobody had ever noticed before. There were faint markings that looked like tiny letters or symbols hidden below the visible surface. At first, the researchers thought these might just be random cracks in the plaster or signs of normal aging damage. But as they studied more scans, the AI kept pointing to the same shapes again and again. Slowly, these shapes started forming structures that clearly looked like real words. Even more surprising was exactly where these markings were located. They were not placed near Jesus or the disciples where most people would naturally expect secrets to be hidden. Instead, the markings were cleverly concealed in the darker background areas, behind the long table, along the walls, and inside the architectural arches. These were spaces that observers had mostly ignored for centuries. In that moment, the entire team realized this was definitely not an accident. It was completely intentional. Leonardo da Vinci, the master of hiding ideas behind art and symbolism, had apparently embedded literal words right inside the Last Supper itself. And those words, still partly covered by centuries of paint and time, were only now starting to come to light. The discovery sent strong waves of shock through every member of the research team. Nobody had truly expected to find anything real or meaningful. The Da Vinci Decoded project had originally begun as just a scientific test to see how powerful modern technology had become when examining ancient artworks. But the second the AI started revealing faint letters hidden within the painting, the whole purpose of the project changed completely. The team gathered again inside their quiet laboratory in Florence, where the work was being carefully monitored. On the large central screen, a highly magnified image of the Last Supper appeared with a soft glow. The AI had marked several small sections in red, highlighting the exact areas that contained these unusual markings. These spots were located along the stone wall behind Jesus, in the dark shadows under the table, and even within the delicate folds of the disciples' robes. At first look, the marks seemed like nothing more than ordinary scratches, cracks, or typical damage from long years of aging. However, when the AI enhanced the scans using hyperspectral imaging, shapes that clearly resembled letters slowly started becoming visible. They were not bold or easy to read, but faint and shadowy, almost like quiet whispers that had been trapped beneath thick layers of paint for hundreds of years. Some letters looked tilted, others were written in mirror style, and a few were arranged in patterns that showed the work of a very brilliant mind. Dr. Elena Rossi, the lead historian working with the team, moved closer to the glowing monitor. She had dedicated more than 20 years of her life to studying Leonardo da Vinci's works. Yet nothing she had seen before prepared her for what appeared now, and it made her heart beat faster. "These are not accidental marks," she said softly. "He wanted them to be discovered, but not while he was alive." The AI system had been trained specifically to recognize Leonardo's distinctive mirror writing, the backward script he often used so that only a mirror could properly reveal his private thoughts. As the program continued its analysis, it started connecting these symbols to phrases that appeared in Leonardo's preserved notebooks. Gradually, small pieces of sentences began to form. In the early stages, they were short and not fully clear. Isolated words appeared, such as ombra, which means shadow, verita, meaning truth, and tradimento, meaning betrayal. But as the AI processed even more visual data, these fragments started connecting together and building into short phrases that created a strange and uneasy feeling in the laboratory. It almost felt like the painting itself was quietly speaking across the centuries. To make absolutely sure there was no technological mistake, the team ran many verification scans using different imaging methods, including ultraviolet light, infrared, and X-ray fluorescence analysis. Every single test confirmed the same remarkable conclusion: the faint writing was completely authentic and physically existed beneath the surface paint layers. News about this finding spread quietly among a small group of trusted academic experts. Only a very select number of people knew what was happening. The researchers all agreed to keep everything strictly confidential until they could fully understand how important their discovery really was. The Vatican received only very general information that advanced imaging had found unusual layers beneath the mural, but the specific details were deliberately kept secret. In the meantime, the artificial intelligence kept improving and evolving quickly. It began mapping the entire painting like an incredibly complex puzzle, connecting symbols with geometry and their exact positions in space. The AI discovered that the letters were not scattered randomly at all. They followed a deliberate spiral pattern that started near Jesus' right hand and slowly extended outward, touching each disciple in a specific order. It was like a hidden code that had been perfectly woven into the artwork. When Dr. Rossi saw the completed digital map on the screen, a chill passed through her body. "It's as if he embedded a message that moves," she whispered with deep respect, as though the mural had been patiently waiting for the right kind of intelligence to finally understand it. Then something even more remarkable happened. As the AI continued refining its analysis, it started producing not just scattered words and short phrases, but complete sentences. Many of the Italian words were old and archaic, written in the exact dialect that Leonardo used during the late 15th century. When these were carefully translated into modern language, they created mysterious statements that sounded like warnings or deep personal reflections, questioning faith, perception, and truth. One sentence said, "What is seen is not what is true." Another stated, "The hands speak louder than the mouths of men." These lines did not come from any biblical scripture or known literary work. They felt very personal, like private thoughts that Leonardo had hidden inside his painting. The room became completely silent as the team read each new sentence out loud. With every additional scan, more fragments appeared. Some sounded neutral and philosophical, while others suggested darker ideas about deception and secret knowledge. To check the accuracy even more thoroughly, the researchers compared the new phrases with everything in Leonardo's surviving journals. In multiple cases, the AI found strong similarities, including identical handwriting characteristics, matching mirror script methods, and very similar phrasing patterns. The evidence was now overwhelming. These words clearly belonged to Leonardo da Vinci himself. As more messages continued to surface, a feeling of unease grew among the team members. The deeper the AI searched, the more the content seemed to question religious authority and long-established power structures. These were ideas that could disturb centuries of traditional beliefs. One particular message especially affected everyone. It appeared faintly underneath the table where Jesus and his disciples sat. After careful translation, it read, "The truth will rise when reason replaces faith." For several minutes, nobody said anything. The atmosphere in the room felt heavy and cold. Finally, Dr. Rossi spoke, her voice shaking a little. "If this is real," she said, "then Leonardo was doing much more than creating a sacred religious scene. He was sending an important message through time meant for people living in a future generation." The team decided together to maintain full confidentiality until every single detail had been completely verified. Yet each person felt the same deep truth inside. This discovery was only the beginning. Something important hidden within the Last Supper had stayed silent for centuries. Now, thanks to the incredible power of artificial intelligence, it was finally starting to wake up and speak. Days turned into weeks as the research team kept working without stopping on their detailed examination of the Last Supper. The AI system ran continuously, studying millions of tiny image pieces and comparing them carefully with Leonardo da Vinci's preserved writings. With each new scan, more words appeared, still faintly embedded beneath the old paint layers. What had first looked like random meaningless letters had now become complete phrases and cryptic sentences that seemed to flow straight from Leonardo's personal thoughts and ideas. Each new revelation made the mystery even deeper and more fascinating. The AI found that the hidden text was positioned with amazing precision. It followed the golden ratio, the same mathematical principle that Leonardo loved using in his artistic works. The sequence moved outward from Jesus at the center in beautiful spirals of perfect symmetry. It truly felt like the secret message had been carefully stitched into the fundamental structure of the mural, waiting patiently through hundreds of years until the right moment arrived for it to be found. As the scanning continued, the faded words became clearer and clearer. The AI translated the ancient Italian script into understandable modern language, and what appeared unsettled every person who read the translations. The messages focused on themes of truth, illusion, and betrayal, with a tone that closely matched the thoughtful writings in Leonardo's private notebooks. It became completely clear that this was all done on purpose. These hidden phrases had been intentionally placed there. The first fully reconstructed sentence appeared along the wall behind Jesus. It said, "All faith fades when light reveals the hand of man." This line seemed to question the idea of divine perfection, suggesting that what people have always revered might actually be shaped or influenced by human actions. Soon afterward, another message appeared near the shadow beside Judas, the disciple known for betrayal. That phrase read, "He who eats with truth will not betray himself." The researchers started noticing a clear pattern in how the sentences were placed. Each phrase connected to a specific disciple, as if Leonardo had hidden personal reflections related to each individual figure. Under Peter's image, the faint letters translated to "Strength without understanding is blind." Near Thomas, who was remembered for doubting the resurrection, the words said, "To question is not sin, but the path to clarity." These discoveries pointed to an intention that went far beyond simple religious commentary. It seemed Leonardo was not making fun of belief itself, but was instead challenging blind obedience. He appeared to be encouraging humanity to embrace reason, seek knowledge, and think independently. However, the deeper the AI continued its work, the more disturbing some of the content became. In the lower right area of the mural near the disciples' feet, a longer message was uncovered beneath several layers of paint. After enhancement and translation, it read, "The ones who hold power will bury truth beneath stone until the eyes of the future uncover it." That sentence completely changed the mood of the entire project. It sounded like a real prophecy, as though Leonardo had purposely sent a warning into the distant future. The other phrases that appeared afterward supported this idea even more strongly. The AI organized all the discovered messages by their tone and exact location, revealing one complete narrative about corruption, manipulation, and the way truth gets suppressed through fear. Leonardo had once written that the eyes can only see what the mind is ready to accept. Now it appeared he had hidden that same philosophy deep inside his most famous masterpiece. As the amount of data grew larger, another incredible pattern showed itself. Every major sentence lined up with very precise mathematical coordinates. When everything was mapped digitally, the geometric design drew attention directly toward Jesus at the center. Yet even in that central area, something entirely new was discovered. Beneath the original paint of Jesus' robe, the AI found an almost invisible inscription that could only be detected through hyperspectral imaging. After translation, the message said, "Truth belongs not to the saints, but to those who seek it in silence." This particular finding created hours of intense discussion among the researchers. The statement contained both deep wisdom and a quiet sense of rebellion. It suggested that truth was not something given only by religious authority, but something each person could discover through their own quiet search. This was a very bold idea during Leonardo's time when the Catholic Church controlled most knowledge and beliefs. When the team compared these new findings with Leonardo's other surviving artworks and writings, the same themes kept appearing consistently. In many of his sketches, he showed human figures trapped inside geometric shapes, which symbolized how reason could be limited by faith. His private notes often warned against following anything blindly and stressed the importance of questioning accepted ideas. The hidden text inside the Last Supper expressed these same philosophies, but on a much larger and bolder scale than anything else he had done. By the time the complete translation was finished, the team had identified nearly 40 different phrases, each connected to particular parts of the painting. When put together, they created one powerful, unified message that served as a warning about corruption being disguised as something holy. The AI produced a final summary line that brought everything together. "Faith without reason is the sleep of truth, and those who shall see what was forbidden." That final statement left the entire research team sitting in complete silence. It strongly suggested that Leonardo had deliberately hidden a message that was meant to be discovered in a future time when people would have both the technology and the courage to truly understand it. For hundreds of years, countless people had stood in front of the Last Supper, moved by its emotional power and artistic beauty. But beneath all that visible beauty, a quiet voice had been waiting patiently. It was Leonardo's own voice, preserved across time. Now, through the amazing capabilities of artificial intelligence, that voice had finally reached the present day. Along with the sense of wonder came a feeling of unease. If Leonardo's hidden message was genuine, then this mural had never been only about religious faith. It had also been about authority, knowledge, and the delicate relationship between what people believe and who controls that belief. As the truth finally emerged from the quiet walls of the refectory, the power of its meaning felt strong enough to shake the world. The moment these concealed words from the Last Supper were shared with the public, the entire world responded with a powerful combination of shock, disbelief, and deep fascination. What had started as a private academic research project quickly became one of the most surprising events in the entire history of art. The news that Leonardo da Vinci might have placed secret messages inside his greatest painting appeared as major headlines everywhere, filled social media with discussions, and created heated debates in news channels around the globe. Art historians called the discovery groundbreaking and extremely important for our understanding of the past. Religious communities, on the other hand, found it disturbing and possibly harmful to traditional beliefs. The Vatican, which stood at the center of the growing controversy, issued a short public statement saying the Church would study the findings carefully before offering any more comments. Behind closed doors, however, many church officials felt serious concern. The revealed messages did not directly attack faith, but their deeper meanings questioned long-held religious doctrines. They spoke about truth being hidden by those in power and knowledge being controlled by authorities. These were very bold themes for someone living during the Renaissance period. Back in Florence, the research team suddenly found themselves surrounded by intense global attention. For many months, they had worked quietly inside their laboratory with complete focus on analysis and verification. Now, journalists and television crews stood outside their building every day, asking for interviews, wanting to see the evidence, and demanding clear explanations. In response, the team released a detailed final report that confirmed the phrases found beneath the paint were real and that the writing perfectly matched Leonardo's known mirror script style. There could no longer be any reasonable doubt the hidden words truly belonged to him. Discussions spread rapidly across the world. Some scholars believed Leonardo had predicted a future where reason and critical thinking would become more important than unquestioned faith. Others argued that the artificial intelligence might have simply misunderstood natural cracks and patterns in the old painting. But people who deeply understood Leonardo's genius knew that nothing in his creations happened by accident. Every line, every shadow, every proportion, and every tiny detail carried intentional meaning. Major museums started showing digital versions of the painting with special overlays that let visitors see exactly where the hidden inscriptions were located. Long lines of people formed as everyone waited for their chance to experience this moment in history. Many stood quietly, looking at the faint markings under the surface, words that had stayed hidden for more than 500 years. For some people, seeing this felt almost like a spiritual experience, as if Leonardo had carefully planned a message for generations far into the future. Not everyone reacted with admiration, though. Some religious leaders publicly criticized the research, calling the advanced scans an unnecessary interference with sacred art. Protests occurred outside art galleries in Italy, with people demanding that all further digital examination should stop immediately. Despite these objections, the images and information continued spreading quickly through international media, reaching millions of people faster than any organization could control. In the end, the Last Supper itself stayed physically the same, still hanging quietly in its refectory in Milan. Its colors may have become faded over time, but its mystery now felt more alive and relevant than ever before. People now looked at it with fresh eyes and new understanding. Beneath the painted faces of Jesus and his disciples, they could sense something much deeper, a private conversation left behind by one of the greatest visionary minds who ever lived. Leonardo da Vinci had always believed that truth often stays right in front of us, waiting for those who are ready to truly see it. Through modern technology, his voice seemed to speak again, traveling across the long distance of time itself. The secret had never really gone away. It had simply been waiting for humanity to develop both the right tools and enough courage to finally bring it into the light. If you enjoyed this story, please make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more fascinating content.